A new poll has found that 65% of Australians now support Australia Day being celebrated on January the 26th. Commissioned by the Institute for Public Affairs, the annual poll found that only 15% support changing the date, and 84% said they were proud to be Australian. To the director of the IPA's Foundations of Western Civilisation program, Dr. Bella de Brera, Happy New Year to you, Bella.
Happy New Year, Chris.
If only 15% want the date changed, why does the topic dominate in so much media and in corporate Australia so much? I don't get it.
Look, that's a very good question, and I think the answer is clear that 100% of that 15% occupy positions in the media and in corporate Australia. It's this very vocal minority that continues to push the narrative every year that Australia is some kind of racist aberration and that we should be ashamed of it. And, some of this cohort occupy very privileged positions in society, such as in the Senate, from where they tweet terrible things about Australia and, really bite the hand that feeds them. But ultimately, the poll shows that what we find every year is that the majority of Australians, and this year it's 65%, want to celebrate Australia on the 26th of January.
Now, it's interesting, if you start looking at young and older Australians, there's a big difference in the value that they place in that date, isn't there?
Yes, there's a very big difference. So 18 to 24-year-olds, 54% want to celebrate Australia Day, and they think Australia has a history to be proud of. But, that's still a majority, but unfortunately 22% don't think that Australia has a history to be proud of. And you contrast this with an older cohort, which is over 65s, 82% of them think that there is a history to be proud of, and only 9% think there isn't. And this is really down to the way Australians are being educated. It's very clear that years and years of indoctrination are actually paying off, but not in our favour. They've been, through no fault of their own, they're being taught continuously in school and then at university, if they do humanities, that this country is irredeemably racist, that it was invaded, that we need to be ashamed of it. The new national curriculum that ACARA is trying to push through and impose on Australian children has not one positive mention about Australian history. And this is that we need to have balance. And as soon as you mention balance, the left-wing minority will shout, this is the culture wars and you're just making this up, and they gaslight us to say that it's not happening. But really, all you have to do is look at the national curriculum. You have to look at how history is being taught, and you can understand why there is a reluctance amongst the young people to celebrate Australia Day. Why would they if they think that this is such a terrible country?
Because they're being fed this diet of negativity and not the true facts of what occurred when white came with black. And this is one of the great reasons why I think it's perfect to celebrate Australia Day on January 26th, because if you listen to and read the accurate commentary of Australian historians about what occurred when black came with white, there are terrific positives, wonderful relationships, and a whole heap of negatives as well. That's the truth.
Yes, and it's a real shame that children aren't being taught both sides of the story. It wasn't all terrible. There were some amazing positives. And of course, Australian society has benefited from the values and institutions of Western civilization that give equality before the law, equality of opportunity to everybody in this country, no matter what their race or gender is. And this is something that we do need to focus on, and we do need to think about on Australia Day. And the majority of Australians, 84%, are proud to be Australian. Of course, they want a national holiday, and we need to just ignore this vocal minority and continue with what we know is good about Australia and celebrate it every year.
See, this business about being proud, I couldn't be a prouder Australian. I'm actually very proud of the Aboriginal people that I consider to be friends, and the people in those Indigenous communities I've met over many, many decades. I'm proud of what they have done. I'm proud of the fact that in such a very, very small period of time, Australia's been able to become this incredible first world country, which has increased the mortality of white and black and everyone that has come to the country ever since. That is an enormous reason to be proud.
Yes, look, it's a huge success story, and it's as I said earlier, it's a travesty that Australian children aren't being taught this. Of course, I'm not saying we need to have this victor, this totally sort of perfect history of Australia where we don't talk about the bad things that happen, but we must teach both sides of the story. At the moment, they're just getting a very narrow identity politics, critical race theory driven view of Australian society, and it's dividing us against each other based on our identity and the colour of our skin.
As you mentioned, we need to continue the conversation and apply the pressure for a redrafting of this national curriculum. But one of the worst things to occur late last year was that Alan Tudge stood down because there's an investigation into him about his relationship with a former staffer. Without him in the parliament, I haven't heard too many others, even on his side, argue vehemently about redrafting the national curriculum. That's not good news.
No, it's not. It's gone very, very quiet. And both the federal and state governments should really take note of this poll and do something about the national curriculum. There is no way that the current form that they're trying to impose on children should be allowed to happen. And this is a great responsibility for the coalition, and I hope that they continue in Minister Tudge's footsteps.
Thanks for giving us an early look at the poll and the results. And we've got 9 days before Australia Day comes to absorb it all and discuss it. Fantastic. Bella de Brera, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.